Okay, folks, popping up with an extra episode this week. More of, a reaction to a horrible video that has come out of Minnesota. Alex Pretti, a Veterans Affairs ICU nurse, was shot by ICE in Minneapolis. A lot of you have seen the video, and I don't always dive the deepest into the worst parts of our politics because this is, of course, a comedy podcast, and I don't really, even though we use the current events as a jumping off point to talk about things and have fun here, I don't want to be a political commentator. I don't. Not the world I want to live in. It's disgusting, it's gross, it's exhausting. It's not really my main gift, even though they are things that I like to pay attention to, and I think it's important to. But we are all, unfortunately, in one way or another, being thrust into a position of having to do it with basically no other choice based on this ridiculous administration and what they are doing to the American people. Now, there's a lot of ways I could take this episode, this reaction, this commentary. I could do a straight up analysis of the video, of the clip. I don't think we need to do that. I think you've probably seen it, or you will. Make sure you watch multiple angles. I also think it's important to watch the administration's official statements on it. Greg Bovino, I believe his name is, who's running ICE, who said that this person had showed up to potentially commit a mass act of murder against ICE agents, is what he said. Official statement. Trump released a long statement, which we're not going to read, where he brings up Ilhan Omar and Somali fraud and justifies this killing. And it's important to pay attention to those statements, not because they need to be taken as fact, but because they need to be taken against your own eyes, heart, and obvious understanding of a situation that is going to get worse when these are the people running it. I don't think that this is really even a conversation about immigration at this point. I think we passed that point a long time ago. I even said, cards on the table. Look, I tend to lean left here, but I actually think it was a good thing that Trump was able to close off the border from the ridiculous amount of illegal immigration that was happening. I don't think the Democrats did a good job on that. That I think is where you can find, and I might not be fully right about all that, but like that's where you can have a conversation surrounding policy and things like that, right? What you can't do, really, is both sides, every single thing that you watch, including the murder of a U.S. citizen in the streets by untrained federal agents when he was already apprehended, and exercising his Second Amendment right, which these people support, while not actually reaching for his gun. You can see it. If he pulled his gun on federal officials, regardless of what they're doing there, this is a different conversation. This is not that conversation you're going to have. And what I'm most interested about is when you see this, and it looks very obvious to me, how we can still have an immediate snapback to people's particular sides. The amount of people that I've seen justifying this. Now, it's not most people. I think most people have a pretty reasonable understanding of this, but there are a lot of people online, people of the right, who are like, I'm pretty sure all the innocent Americans were at home. The concept here is that, of course, if you are out in the streets protesting what ICE is doing, then you're interfering with them, and apparently you deserve to be shot in the back while you're lying on your stomach in the street in broad daylight, while helping a woman who was being pepper sprayed, and while once again, and I think it's worth saying, being someone who has dedicated their life to treating veterans of the United States military in the hospital. It's crazy justification. It's quite a justification. But I want to talk, I think today, because you're going to get a lot of commentary about this. You're going to have people who are going to tell you what to do, how to organize, if you're feeling something, where you should go. I'm not the place to come for all that. What I am most interested in, I think, is trying to understand what that mindset is, how we can watch this video, and most of us see something very clear and obvious that also indicates a path we are going down as a country that is horrifying, scary, and quite frankly fills me with an internal feeling of existential dread. And I'm an optimist. And I'm not politically radical. I'm a pretty normal guy when it comes to all of this. I don't want to riot. Things are going well. I'm literally like watching all this. I'm like, guys, hey, can we not ruin the world like right as my career is starting to hit stride? God! I know, don't make it about yourself. I'm just telling you, these are thoughts that I have. I'm like, hey, things are going well. And then I open my phone and I'm like, no, they're not! So how can we actually see different things? I think, honestly, we talk a lot about how the algorithm pushes radicalism, how people get bored. As our brains deteriorate from losing our attention span, you get bored of boring, long, thought-out, complex truths. It's a lot easier to just snap into let's go down this path and everyone's lying to me except this guy, all that sort of stuff. That's all there. And we know that. And we know that the internet and these platforms make money off radicalizing. We already know that. I don't really need to spend time talking about it. I think at a base level, what's happening is everyone wants to feel like they're okay. And in a world where there are perceived threats everywhere, where everyone's keyed up to a high level because of the rhetoric, because of the algorithm, because of the honest-to-God facts on the ground and the shit that is happening, people are freaked out and they want to feel okay. And so I'm trying to get into the minds of someone who can see the same thing that I saw and not be seeing what I'm seeing and not understand that, hey, if you're, for example, the people who are everyone who is center, I would say everyone who watches this video who is of the left at all is horrified and sees this as a gross miscarriage of I would say miscarriage of justice, but it's injustice, right? A murder, frankly. Everyone who's of the left understands that. I think with this video, pretty much everyone of the center understands that. So how do people who are on the right or the far right not understand what we're seeing? That's what I'm trying to understand. Now, is this the most important project when you're witnessing this? Are the people who deserve our sympathy right now the people who are justifying murder in the streets? No, the people who deserve our sympathy are, of course, the people who are being attacked by this group of thugs that is running through American streets and killing people. Obviously, right? We know that. I'm trying to philosophically understand something a little different here because it's confusing me. Okay? And I think it's just that we all want to find a way to feel okay when we're scared. Right? And I think that for these people, they're retreating to this little moment. Maybe there's a little flicker. Maybe there's a little tiny concept in your brain of holy shit. What if what I was supporting was wrong? What if what I was supporting is leading to the dissolving of the constitutional rights that I say I care about, including the Second Amendment. These are people whose main ideology is supposed to be independence, personal rights, an ability to live your life and not be threatened by the overreach of the federal government. This was the justification for Doge. This is the justification for RFK. We don't want these vaccines. We don't want this, that. We want freedom. But we're okay with you getting shot in the street because you're really not supposed to get in the way of authority just so long as that authority is on our side. Yes, of course. Oh my God, is it possible they're hypocrites? Yes, most people have already arrived at this. Again, I think people do things for reasons and they all make sense. So my question is why? And I think at the end of the day, we all want to feel okay. We want to feel safe, which is why people are in the streets protesting ICE, because ICE is not making them feel safe. But I think people also want to feel safe from the concept of their own wrongness. Now, this is a charitable, right? Because you could just say, like, oh, if you're supporting this, you're just racist and you hate anyone who's not white, and you're okay with the fact that even members of the Minneapolis police, the police who were being protested not a few years back, are coming out and saying our own officers are having their constitutional rights infringed upon by ICE, people who actually are untrained and don't know what they're doing and are detaining people based on race alone. Yes, of course. Yeah, this is happening. But when I see people being like, well, I guess you just need to be at home, or I guess you just, like, I just think people are so afraid of the concept that they might have possibly been wrong that they're willing to justify things that go against the structure of their own arguments, foundational arguments of what they are supposed to believe. And that's very scary. Trump, for all his bluster, is a terrified man. The idea that you can watch that video and just go straight to retreating to a non sequitur of a bunch of random shit, flailing and screaming and just standing on your 2 feet screaming, I'm right about everything. You have to be wrong. You're not strong enough to understand that things might be heading a bad direction. And what concerns me about that is these are the most dangerous people of all. You look throughout history, it is the people who could never understand, as they were staring at the obvious, that what they were doing was fucked up. Those are the people that are painted into a corner, and those are the most dangerous people of all. So I'm not calling for, kumbaya and understanding for the people that are okay with someone just getting shot in the street. I'm just trying to understand where this is all coming from, because if we are watching the same thing and we cannot understand, even in this case, a case that is so cut and dry, so obvious, that we are in trouble, then we are actually in trouble. And I never believe that. I always think people are online making shit scarier than it is, making it worse than it is. Well, when you stack everything up right now, it actually feels like it's going that way. And if you don't see that, then it's probably just because you want to feel okay. Well, we're reaching a time when that's not going to work. And that's a scary thing to say. I am always a turn the temperature down guy. But if you can't see this, and this should be a moment, this is a sad and scary thing. This should be that moment where everyone goes, okay. Let's set our differences aside and say this needs to stop. And if you can't do that, then I don't know what to say anymore. If you can't do, I'm all for an interesting, dry, somewhat boring debate, conversation around the best way to fix, by all accounts, a poor immigration system. If you can't just see this and take a step back and be like, all right, that is not okay. A president, in a normal time, and when I say normal, I mean not long ago, not during our lifetime, barely long ago. A president of either side, a minutely normal human being, a full-on Republican, conservative principles would usually see this and say, let's just disavow the actions of this officer. Let's disavow the way that this project of ICE in Minneapolis has gone. Let's find a way to work together to make sure, hey, guys, guess what? We don't want fraud. No one wants fraud. None of us want fraud. None of us want illegal immigrants in the country who are committing crimes. These are really easy things to understand, all of us. Easy. But it takes a tiny bit, the smallest amount, the most reasonable, tiny bit of human decency to get everyone on the same page and walk back from this needless fracture, this needless brink of destruction. And if you can't do that, then I don't know what we do. Shouldn't be hard, folks. This should be an easy moment. This should be a moment where we all come together. No one wants untrained federal thugs shooting people in the back in the street. None of us want that. Except for somehow the few people who now do. And if you're one of them, fuck off. Truly. I don't know what else to say. This is the tone of the pod is not this usually, but the benefit of having a podcast that no one listens to is I don't have to think about what everyone's going to say or how many listens I'm going to lose or what the advertisers are going to say, or if I need to make sure that I placate everybody because I'm riding the fucking stallion of a gigantic audience and I need the production value to be good. No, I can just watch this shit happen all fucking morning and be sitting in a hotel room in LA with a mic and a camera and 100 other things that I was supposed to do and be like, I actually can't do anything but do this because I'm sick to my stomach. So there it is. And I usually try to filter my thoughts through comedy because that's a good way to reach people who don't already agree with you. You got to think on a different level, right? And this podcast is usually hey, this is all the shit that's going on, but let's talk about it, but let's make it fun. Well, today there's no fun. There's no fun, but there's still something that needs to be said and something that needs to be done. And look, it's rough out there. It's rough out there. And this, for as horrible as it is, and it is one of the worst moments that I've seen in a long time, not just in terms of the video itself, but in terms of the feelings of dread that it brings about within me when I'm looking at everything happening and just forecasting out months, let alone years of this. It almost somehow gives me hope because it's so obvious, because it's so clear, because it's something that I truly and deeply and existentially have to believe that most Americans can see the obvious truth of. We don't want this happening to fellow citizens, regardless of who they voted for or what they believe. And that should be obvious. And that should be a dividing line. And if you can't find your way to the right side of that, I don't know what to tell you. But that should be so obvious, it should get most of us on the same page. And in a normal world, it'll move us towards a direction which makes this start happening less. But the question is, do we live in a normal world? I guess we'll see.